guys, welcome back to the video, to the channel, not the video. Um, Basically, today I will be talking about my process with applications applying abroad, and I'll be talking about a specific part, and that's the Common App, because there's a lot that goes into the application, but I feel like the Common App is like the most like it's very central, and it's very, you put a lot of information in it, so I think it's very important to talk about it, especially for people who do not know it. Like for me, I was also learning afresh when I first heard of it. So this is basically, I'm gonna go into detail with each section of the Common App, so I hope that you can enjoy this video and you can share it with someone who's applying to colleges, who's trying to navigate the Common App, or has questions. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Yeah, and let's just get into it. Okay, so I was applying to schools like in America from Kenya, and I guess I'll just take you through the process that I used. I used Common App, and yeah, it was definitely a different process, especially because, at least for me, this was very new and it wasn't something that we got introduced to like in high school. And like I had to learn what the Common App is, what are the requirements for applying to colleges in the US, what do I need, how do I write essays, which we'll look at. How do essays look like is this just a normal essay, or is a personal statement something completely different? So yeah, basically I'll just walk you through the Common App, what it is, the sections that it has, and what is expected of you when you're filling this form. And this form takes longer than a day or a week to fill. Like this is something that I worked on for probably like 3 to 4 months. So you should not be feeling like you need to finish this in one sitting. Like that's not how it works. And yeah, anything else I would want to mention about the Common App? I would say I basically wasn't doing things like essays or activities. I wasn't working on them directly on this app. I would have like a Google Doc, or you can have like a Word document where you have all your essays, your activities, you're writing everything aside, and then you only come to use the Common App. Okay. I wouldn't say that the Common App is something that you do in one sitting, so you're probably gonna do it over multiple days or multiple weeks or months. So you can have like a Google Doc where you put your essays, your activities, you edit them separately, and then like when you're finally ready, everything is done and set, you just paste it on Common App and you submit it. So this is more of a final draft, final everything. That's when you're putting in information in this app. So I would not recommend writing your essays directly on this app. Yeah, so basically the first section is the student information, and here you just write things about you. These first sections are pretty fast because this is direct answer, so just your name, your parents' names. They ask you questions and you just write it specifically as they're asking. Demographics, they also have like where you're from, where you live, where you grew up, where you were born. Like it's pretty self-explanatory. It's really easy to maneuver that first part of the app. And then we have the family, and this is also pretty straightforward. So it's the same things like the name of your parents, your siblings. You're gonna be able to maneuver that too, so that's not a problem. And then education. Okay, education is also pretty straightforward because it's where did you go to school, where is the school, what dates did you attend school. It's pretty straightforward, and this is not something that should be challenging. Um, so there's a question that asks about gap year, like, or did you graduate early? Did you graduate late? Will you take time off? Did you take a gap year, or will you take a gap year? So this is depending on who you are and what country you're in. But for me, at least in my country, applying to colleges abroad kind of requires a gap year, because there's like a almost mandatory gap year that used to be when students finished high school. Right now the time frame has been reduced, so it's like a couple months before you go to school, but back then it used to be like a long time, almost a year before you can go to school, to university. So also, if you're applying to colleges abroad, it's very likely that you're gonna have to take a gap year unless you were in an international high school. Because for me, for example, I was in a public high school, and so I was not exposed to colleges abroad while in high school. Like, that was not something that we were practicing in school. SATs were not something that we were writing, like I had to teach myself with the help, obviously, of some people that had gone through the process, who knew about it, who helped me. And by some people, I mean like my sister and her friends who had made it through. I got to learn a little bit faster, but like if you don't know anything at all, it can be like a little bit harder to, like, first of all search the information, what is it, and then actually go into deep lengths of like how to do it. So for me, it was like I knew the what, I knew I need to do a Common App, I knew I needed recommendations from my teachers, I knew I needed all these things. I knew what I needed, but I didn't necessarily know the how, and so that's what takes a lot of time. So for most people, you probably end up taking like a gap year before you can join a school here, because the education systems are also different in that, for example, in Kenya, students graduate from high school in December, but in America, like, the students graduate in May, they have the summer, then they go to school in September, which is not the case. For us, we finish school in December, and then you can either go to school in February or you can go to school in September. So the difference in time, like by the time you're graduating, the students in your class already graduated a long time ago, or they've already been doing applications. So you kind of need like a year to do this. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like they have been doing it while in school, and by they I mean like students who go to high school in America or students who go to high school in international schools. They have already been doing this in high school, so they know what it is. They have talked to their teachers. The teachers know how to write this recommendation, so it's a little bit easier for them, obviously, because it's their system. It's their country, so it's definitely going to be a smoother transition for someone studying in America to go into an American university than someone being an international student. So I think that's also something to take note of. You should not be too hard on yourself, because it's really not an easy process, especially if you're navigating this by yourself. And by yourself, I mean that, for example, in Kenya, there are programs that are made and created to help students apply to come to study in the US. For example, we have like Equity, we have what's it called? Education USA, which I don't know if it's still running, but when I was applying, it was a thing and it was very helpful. So they take students and they teach you all these things in detail. They give you mentors, they give you deadlines, they tell you what to do and how to do it. So if you have that, obviously it's going to be a way smoother experience than having to do all this by yourself, because I think there's so much information in the internet. Everyone has something to say about this, so just trying to get information from so many different places, like, it just gets so hectic and you don't know which to pick and choose. You don't know which essays to use as the right samples or like the right examples, so that can be challenging. So basically on the gap year, that's a question. So if you're taking a gap year, you should just say that you are. And then for colleges and universities, in case you have like done like a college program after your high school, you can definitely like write about it. Like this is just you giving information of what you've done, your high school education, your college education, your university education. Basically, this is a space for it. So that is also pretty straightforward. Um, the next section is, and before I go to the next section, I do want to talk about something else that has a little bit of writing, and that's the honors section. So by honors, it's basically any recognition that you may have gotten in school or maybe even out of school. Like, do you have a prize that you won? Do you have like something that you were rewarded in school? Even if it's academic, you got like a runners up or you're the best at a competition. This is the space to write this kind of things, and I feel like this is your space to actually like show off all the achievements that you made in high school, all the achievements that you made even outside of school, but you got recognized for. This is the space for it. And then next I will go into testing. And so basically testing is a space for you to write like your grades for the SAT or the ACT. And for me, I did the ACT, and people in my country, they do the SAT too. So it's basically like this exam that you can take after 2020 COVID. It kind of became optional because not a lot of people could have access to the exam. So if you decide to take the ACT, which for me in my case, it was recommended that I take the ACT, considering I was coming from like a public school in Kenya, and it was not an international school. Like my school was not like recognized or anything. So like for me, I chose to do the SAT exam, and it's basically this exam that has an English and a math section, and you basically have to do some readings, and for the math section you have to do like some sums, some questions. And for me, considering my curriculum in my high school, it was a bit easier for me to do the math, also because I enjoyed math. But for English it was a little bit different, since Kenya we use the British English and this is American English, so it was definitely like a big change. So I would definitely recommend like studying for it. Like I was studying for the SAT like how I was studying for my national exams. Like I was really studying for it. There's a lot of resources online for the SAT. There's a lot of resources for like how you can practice, how you can study for it, and I would recommend using those resources. I know like Khan Academy was one of the apps that I really used to like practice for SAT and everything, so I would definitely recommend to check it out. They have practice questions, practice exams that you can do, and it was really helpful. And for the exam, some schools, for example Bowdoin, was test optional for me to do the SATs. I did not have to do it, but I chose to just because of what I've told you guys. Like my school, where I was coming from, I felt like I needed to show that I can cope with your learning system, like I wanted to show them that even if I'm coming from a public school, I do have what it takes to change curriculums and come into a whole new like academic system and adapt and actually do well. So for me, I actually wanted to do the SAT and do it well and show that I can actually do it, and like I can actually do like education at Bowdoin. It was definitely test optional and I did not have to, but I chose to like do it and to submit my scores to Bowdoin. And depending on your case, you can decide. I would recommend doing the exam, and I would recommend, depending on how you do, depending on how comfortable you are sharing those results with the school, because it also shows, I'm not like an admissions officer, like I don't know how much it weighs, but I feel like for me, or for students like me who are coming from institutions that are not necessarily known or academic curriculums that are not known or recognized, like Cambridge, or like people who are doing all this international curriculums. If you're not coming from one that's recognized like that, I personally would advise doing the exam. But this is definitely not. I'm not an admissions counselor. I don't know. Like that's just me. It worked for me. Um, there's also like another section for some other exams which I do not know because I didn't do them, but you should definitely search up your country. I know like for the English, if your country maybe English is not a national language, there might be some English tests. So just make sure you search up that and know what tests you would be required to take for you to apply to the college that you want to apply to or the university that you want to apply to. And then the next section was activities. Oh, and this is one of the sections that is really important according to what I think. Like, wait, what sentence structure is that? According to me, I think activities is very important because I feel like through activities, this is your chance to show your passion, to show how you've been involved in school and outside of school. Like, this is your time to tell them, this is what I did, this is how I did it, this is the impact I have made. At this point, they're trying to see if you can fit in their college, their university. So, this is what I've done, and if you pick me based on what I've done, this is what I could also contribute to your university. Like all this time when you start writing, because this is where the writing actually starts, you need to be like selling yourself. You're telling them, this is what I have, and if you take me, this is what you could get from admitting me to your school. So with activities, this is basically reporting activities can help colleges better understand your life outside of the classroom. Examples of activities might include clubs, extracurricular, family responsibilities, hobbies, work, volunteer, literally anything that you have done that you feel is an activity, you can write it here. And this is definitely different for a lot of schools. It definitely depends. And I don't even know, like it depends on, first of all, you research the schools that you want to apply, right? What do the schools value? Is this a research school? Is this a big school that values research? Is this a school that values volunteer? Is this a school that values community? Is this a school that values common good? I'm in Bowdoin, so Bowdoin is a school that values common good. How are you impacting the community around you? Like, how will your education impact the world, impact the community around you? And so if that's what you're looking for when you're going to college, that's something to consider. Like, that's why I feel like you should do research and find out what each school values, and then based on what you value, choose the schools that you want to apply to. So for example, for me, I really valued like activism. I valued like standing up for people. I valued my community. I valued getting involved with my community. I valued women. Like for me, like my niche was girl empowerment, women empowerment. I was really working with like things that involve like empowering women, especially in my community, because the environment that I grew up in, there was a lot of there weren't a lot of opportunities for some women to be able to like get opportunities. So I was really interested in helping them, or like helping to spread the word, like talking about it. Like I was really involved in women rights, women, girls getting access to products. Like it's a whole, I could go in depth into that, but I'm not gonna do it right now. But just what I'm trying to say is like you find what you are passionate about, what you really care about, and you take it and you show it. Yeah, like take it, show it, how have you been passionate about this, how has that manifested in your life, how has that manifested in your school, how has that manifested at home, in your community, in your church, in your whatever it is that you're involved in. Honestly, like just show it now. Mm, yeah, so it's basically a whole section where you can, I mean, they ask you like specific questions. What was the name of maybe the organization that you're involved in? A description. These are usually like really short answers. I don't remember the word limit, but it was definitely less than 100 words. It was really small descriptions. So here I would focus on like writing like words that capture the attention of your reader. You know, like when I'm reading your activity, I want to like see, I mean, like not me, but like when someone is reading your activity, they're probably reading thousands of applications. So if you can use like action words, you know, impact words, what did you do? What was the impact? If you can be able to summarize that into a couple of words and be specific, you know, like not just generally, you know, I was in the student government, I helped a lot of students connect. It was a great opportunity to see students of different levels, of different grades talking to each other. You know, that's a general answer, and someone else can be very specific and talk about a very specific thing that they were involved in and give quantitative data on how many people were impacted by this or this specific role. I edited this and this, for example, for one of my activities was being a part of like editing like some magazine ish, and like specifically the role that I played, you know, I write it. So I would say specificity, and don't generalize it, be specific, be show the impact depending on what you're applying for. Like this is like if you're applying to a research school, maybe your activities, the research that you did with the professor, not professor, yeah, maybe it's like that class project that you did, and maybe it's not just about the project itself but the process of it, that maybe there's something that you can talk about that stands out and that shows your maybe skills, your leadership skills in that project. Like, you know, like be quantitative, be specific, use action verbs, and yeah, that's the advice I would give with this section. Basically, I think it's a really important section, and this section, for me personally, it took me more than a month to like finalize which activities will I talk about, what action words will I use, what action verbs will I use, the how precise, you know, the impact. Like I wanted them to be able to see how I had spent my life before like that application. I wanted them to see my efforts, my impact, my passion in the things that I have done up to that point of my life. And so I really took the time to make sure that they could see that. Um, so the next section is now the writing. This is also like a really important part. Like I don't know how important it is, but I would say like 50%. Like I spent 3, if not more, months finding a personal statement, making it great, choosing even what to write. There's so much you can write because I'll just read it out for you. Some colleges require submission of the personal essay with your Common App. You may submit a personal essay to any college, even if it's not required by that college. The essay demonstrates your ability to write clearly and concisely on a selected topic and helps you distinguish yourself in your own voice. What do you want the readers of your application to know about you apart from your courses, grades, and test scores? Choose the options that best help you answer the questions and write an essay of no more than 650 words using the prompt to inspire and structure your response. Remember, 650 words is your limit, not your goal. So that basically means you don't have to write 650 words. It's just the maximum. So if it's 600, you're good. If it's 590, you're good. You do not have to write to the T. Use the full range if you need it, but don't feel obligated to do so literally. And then they give you like a bunch of questions. So I think this is the most important part of the application. So I'm just gonna read out these questions. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. That's one of the options. The second one, the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from that experience? Reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted you thinking? What was the outcome? Reflect on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has gratitude affected or motivated you? Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? Share an essay of any topic of your choice. It can be one you have already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. Literally, of your own design, meaning like you can literally write anything. In this question, it's basically you can write anything, you can talk about anything as long as you tailor your story to this one of these questions. And I feel like the personal statement is just one of the most stressful parts of the applications. And it's like you don't it I mean it's like there's so much in your life that you could talk about, but like you have to find that one thing to write about or multiple things to write about, really. Like it depends, but just I feel like the decision itself to settle is a really tough decision, and so this is not something to take lightly. It's not something to start when you're 1 week from the deadline. It's something to think about literally from you can start thinking about it when you're still in high school. You can start thinking about what is it that I could, like what is something that's so meaningful to me, like not even tailoring it to a personal statement, but just thinking what is something that's really meaningful to me, and what does that look like just from a really early point, as soon as you discover, oh, I want to go abroad. I feel like this is a question that should start coming to your mind. And a personal statement is personal. So again, this is not the time to summarize all your achievements. You have sections for that, for you to choose your most important ones to put. You had sections for honors, you had sections for activities, you had all that. This is a space for you to show them you. Like if not me, but if the person that's reading your essay reads it, they should be able to see you, like that something that you care about. They should be able to see a version of yourself that's very honest and that's very you and that distinguishes you from anyone else. This is your chance to stand out, because you could have people having like almost the same exact details up until this essay. Like you could have people with the same grades, the same, maybe not exactly, but like generally the same type of activities. I was in government. You can find many students who applied who were in government in school. Like they were very active in Model UN, and you can see great leadership impact so far. All of them have amazing grades. All of them have amazing activities. But this is where you stand out. This is where your personal voice comes out. So for me, I'm not gonna lie, this took me so long, and it took me a lot to decide what to write. I had so many ideas. The first idea that I had is not the idea that I ended up with, and um, it's not it's not like I don't even it's not like something that you might just, for some people obviously they're gonna think of something and that's gonna be the final idea that they write about, but I feel like for most people it evolves. So you could start with thinking, I want to write about this, and you start writing it and it's amazing, but then you read it again and you're like, wait, this specific thing that you could narrow on, that's more specific to you, more personalized. And so it's a process, is what I want to say. This is a process, writing this essay. And take your time. Don't be in a rush to have the perfect essay. Give yourself time to brainstorm, to write samples. I think I wrote more than 20 essays before having the final one. And even after having the final one, there's so much more to edit it. And this is something else for me. Essays did not look like what a personal statement looks like. What I knew as an essay was like a composition for school. We have this book that we're supposed to write, and then we're asked questions, and I'm gonna write an essay on that. Like it was nothing. I had never written anything like this. This felt like like it was so personal for me that it's nothing that I have ever written before. And so I would recommend, if you have never written a personal statement, you don't know what this is, search up personal essays examples. There's so many. Obviously you can look for like trusted places, for university that you want to apply to. Some, just search up that university sample personal statements. They're gonna give you samples, and if not, just search other universities. All this, because the thing I forgot to mention is that this essay, you'll be sending it to multiple schools. For example, if you're applying to 20 colleges or 20 universities, this essay will go to all of them. So you do not have to write a personal statement for each school, which is amazing. And which is why you're taking as much time to perfect it and make it amazing, so that you can use it for every single school. Yeah, so personal statement, make it personal, give yourself time, months, not weeks, months. I don't know, people are different, but I would recommend give yourself months to think about this, to draft it. Be honest, be reflective, be personal, share about things that you're passionate about. This is also not, for me at least, this is all in my perspective. I'm not saying that this is the standard for applying to American schools. This is my perspective. I also didn't want to seem like I was just trauma dumping or something like that in my personal statement. I didn't want it to be like, look at me, like I have I have all these maybe challenges or something. No, that was not my goal. My goal was to show my growth. My goal was to show things that I'm passionate about. This is what I'm passionate about, and this is how this passion has manifested in my life in a very personal level, at a very personal level. That was my goal, that was my objective. So even though some maybe personal things that happened to me showed up at the essay, those were not the main things for me. That was not the main message that I was communicating. But the things that I really cared about, the things that I was really passionate about, were what came out in my essay. Like, you could read my essay and be like, wow, this person is really passionate about like the girls in her community. She's really passionate about maybe like empowering girls in her community, empowering women in her community. And this can be anything. It can be science. You're really passionate about math. You're really passionate about anything that you're passionate about. You can tell your story, and this is your space to tell your story. Yeah. And then basically there's an addition section, and this came in after COVID-19, obviously, and it's a section for you to write if COVID-19 impacted you. This is a space for you to share. This is all me and how I did it. I also did not use this as an opportunity to say how all the bad things that COVID-19 did for me. Even if they showed up, I showed how I grew from that, the lessons I got from that. I showed what I did with that time too. Like every single point that I was writing something in this application was me telling them something about myself, something that they would want, that I think they would want in their college, in their campus. So I was very strategic about what I wrote in every single piece. So I would also recommend that. Like if COVID-19 affected you, I think this is a space for you to share that. If COVID-19 affected your education, this is a space for you to share that. And yeah, for me, I did not approach it just like I said from a, oh, all these bad things happened to me, but from a, even though all these things happened to me, this is how I grew from it. This is how I took advantage of that. This is how I changed it into something that, impacted me, like something that taught me something. Like every single part of my application is, what am I learning from this? How did I grow from this? How is my passion coming in from this? Like this is me telling them, look at me and this thing that I'm passionate about, and these things that these skills that I have grown, that I'm curious to grow, and look at me and see me as a student on your campus. See me as a student involving yourself in different things that you have on campus. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So yeah, I think that's basically it with the Common App. And then the last section is like signatures. You're signing to say I affirm everything I've written is correct, and a bunch of other agreement statements, which are also pretty straightforward. You just basically read it, and if it's true, you tick. If it's not true, you do not tick. Like it's pretty straightforward as well. That's basically it with the Common App, and I would have wanted to put up like my page for the Common App, but I think they get deactivated after a while because my account, I couldn't access it anymore, and I had to like create another account to be able to access it. And since I'm currently not applying to a school right now, I'm probably not going to create an account. But just for context, I'll probably also post a little section of what to search up, Common App, the section that gives you put in your name, like creating an account basically. So the process is really straightforward. This is a free application. Wait, is it free to post it? I'm trying to remember. I don't know if there are fees to submit Common App, but if there is a fee to submit Common App and you cannot afford to submit it, you can always email, like basically search up the school that you're applying for, search up for admissions email, write them an email, any question that you have that you cannot maybe find in the internet, ask them like, I want to apply to your school, but I'm seeing that there's a fee. I'm not able to pay for that fee. Do you have fee waivers? Most schools have fee waivers, so they'll get back to you, and if they have a waiver, they'll tell you what to do, or they'll give you instructions if they have it, and if not, there's schools that have waivers, so you can also look out for that. Yeah, that was basically me applying through this application, and that was the things that I prioritized, the things that mattered most in my process. And I will say that there's a lot of information out there. Like there's so much that people will advise you to do, and especially if you're not coming in with support from a known organization, or if you're not coming from an international school, if you're not coming from, I don't know, like these programs that help students apply, UWC, ALA, like those are amazing opportunities that I think high school students should definitely apply for and get to them. But even if you do not have those and you want to study abroad, it is possible. It's definitely going to be a little bit harder for you because you're gonna have to learn a lot of things on your own, depending on like where, like I feel like you should first of all really try to get into these programs. For example, I'm from Kenya. There's a program called Equity that takes students who like have like plain A's. You can like reach out if you just finished high school. I think they reach out to you. There's also like Education USA. I've heard that this is in multiple countries and not just Kenya. So if your country has that, that's something to also start exploring. You know, like try to find people that can help you, because if you can find such an organization, it's going to be so much better and so much easier. I know that Kenya also has KenSAP, an amazing program that helps students apply to these programs, to these colleges and universities in America. But one thing I would say, I don't know the level of education someone is when watching such a video, but if you're in high school, this is something to be intentional about. Like you need to work hard in high school, get involved in high school, follow the things that you're passionate about in high school. Like be a proactive student, work hard, get good grades, because those are definitely gonna be plus when applying to this competitive schools. You know, they're academically rigorous, so they want you to show that, you know, like yeah, I can survive in the rigor, the educational academic rigor that you have in your school. And how are they going to see that? Through your grades. So grades are really important. You know, you have to work hard, get the best that you can, you know, and then follow this dream that you have, or this thing that you want to study abroad. It's possible. You can do it. Be proactive, you know, like reach out to people, like go to LinkedIn, make a LinkedIn account, search students who are like in those schools and email them. And yeah, I think that's basically it, and you should be good. And yeah, all the best with applications. And yeah, hopefully, in case you have any questions, definitely like leave them on below on the comments, and we can try to answer or give more guidance if you need it. And yeah, that's all. Bye.
High volume. Am I really that much?